Gretel and Hansel released on Newgrounds in October of 2009. And let me be perfectly honest here, I was 8 when this game released, and I didn't even know what Newgrounds was at the time. And even if I had, I still wouldn't have been able to access it. So I didn't discover this game until much later, and if I had to guess, I'd say it was sometime in 2013. Because this like super small YouTuber, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, PewDiePie, released a Let's Play of the game in June of that year. My personal history aside, though, Gretel and Hansel is a point-and-click retelling of the classic story of Hansel and Gretel. It was created in Flash, with programming and animations credited to Mako Pudding, art and animations credited David Bay, and music created by Mike Rudolph. Despite Flash being discontinued in 2020, thanks for that Adobe, Gretel and Hansel and many other Newground games have been preserved with the help of Ruffle, a Flash emulator. So you're still able to play Gretel and Hansel and its sequel right now. Gretel and Hansel begins with Gretel waking up to her parents arguing. There isn't enough food to go around, and Gretel's mother wants to get rid of her and Hansel. Gretel's father is hesitant, but submits to his wife's plan. Just like in the original tale, Hansel and Gretel will be led into the forest and left to fend for themselves, leaving plenty of food for their parents. Unlike the original tale, however, neither Hansel or Gretel will be given bread for their journey, so they will be unable to leave a trail of breadcrumbs to lead them back home. Instead, Gretel needs to gather 10 stones for their trail, and you must solve puzzles to collect them. Once you collect all 10 stones, genuinely or through cheating, put a pin in that, Gretel's mother comes in and it's time for them to make their way to the forest. This section changes up the gameplay and becomes a side-scroller runner where you place your trail of stones while avoiding obstacles and protecting Hansel. Once you reach the end of the trail, Gretel wakes up in the middle of the forest with Hansel, and the game ends. Sounds simple enough, except not really. Hansel is completely useless, everything is out to halt your progress or straight up kill you, and on top of that, the game can be glitchy and the controls a bit wonky, so it can be frustrating at times. And remember that pin from earlier? Yeah, here's how to cheat the game, along with some other glitches I ran into. You need to collect 10 stones to progress. You need to solve puzzles in order to get these stones. That's literally the whole point of the game. Well, if you have no interest in solving puzzles, then I have just the glitch for you. All you have to do is solve one easy puzzle. Go inside the house, grab some of the papers from Hansel, and burn those papers in the fireplace. When you go back outside, there will be a stone sitting between the stairs and the tree root. This stone will respawn every time you leave the screen and return, so you can just walk off screen and come back 9 more times and move on with your life. Another issue I ran into was the slingshot not always working. I'd land on my shot and Gretel wouldn't even have her slingshot out. For the most part, this just caused a little bump in my flow, but it became a real problem with the flower puzzle. The goal here is to shoot all the flowers and turn them all from black to white, but you have to be quick because they'll change back to black in what feels like 2 milliseconds. The trick is to shoot the vines between the flowers so you can turn multiple white with one shot. But even while doing this, I was struggling, and I ended up beating it because the game glitched out and turned all the flowers white for me. I also had a problem with Gretel not jumping when I needed her to during the runner section, and that whole section just being surprisingly fast, like oh my god, I suck at runners. Also, Hansel turned invisible, but that's neither here nor there. I ran into some other minor bugs, but these really took the cake in my playthrough. These issues could be caused by the emulation or the fact that I'm playing it on a much faster PC than they had back in 2009, or I could just be a bad gamer, that's also fair. I don't remember it being like this when I played it on my shitty school Chromebook back in the day, but I did see some similar complaints left in the comments even all the way back in 2009. Despite the bugs and frustration, I still think it's a charming little game, and it's got a great atmosphere. I love the use of watercolor with a dark but mostly muted color palette. It makes the game look like a kid's book, but with the life sucked out of it. It's perfect for a Brothers Grimm tale like this. I also enjoyed the puzzles, minus the bugs of course, and the different gruesome deaths. There are 10 deaths total, and if you get them all, you unlock a literal Easter egg that opens up and gives Gretel a bunny mask, and Hansel a ram mask. I'm sorry, I don't know what animal this is. I think it's a ram, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see this game talked about much anymore, and while I understand given it's a 16-year-old Flash game, it's important to note that it has over 2 million views on Newgrounds, and gained some awards on the site such as Best of the Month and Weekly User's Choice. There's also a couple of new comments on the game page, most of them nostalgic, but some players seem to be playing it for the very first time, which is cool to see in 2025. This wasn't the only Gretel and Hansel game though, and a year later in October 2010, Part 2 was released. It starts where Part 1 ended, unsurprisingly. Gretel wakes up in the middle of the forest next to Hansel and tries to follow their stone trail, but quickly gets sidetracked. This game is so much bigger than part 1, so if I were to try and detail everything that happens, I'd be here all day. It's a lot more complicated than just collect 10 stones. The map is bigger, the puzzles are more complex, there's a currency and shop mechanic, there's fairies, an evil tree person, these strange vine creatures that steal people's faces, a bear, a wolf, etc., etc. But strangely, no witch. The game ends with Gretel and Hansel at a dilapidated house. Is it the witch's house? I have no idea. It doesn't look like candy to me, so I don't think so. If you go into this wanting a perfect retelling of Hansel and Gretel, then, well, you're gonna be disappointed. But overall, part 2 is a huge improvement and quite impressive. And a bigger game calls for a bigger team. Sometimes. In this case. Nathan Radcliffe was added on for programming, animations, and voices, and Jess Gabrielle Crone was added for music, alongside Mako Pudding, David Bay, and Mike Rudolph, of course. I enjoyed this game a lot more than part 1, when it wasn't broken at least. On my first playthrough, I didn't really run into any glitches. Okay, maybe some visual ones, but nothing serious. But after that, I could not for the life of me beat this game a second time. Hansel was the source of all of my issues, I swear, which is unfortunate because in my first playthrough, he was actually helpful. While he's a goober and gets into trouble, he actually helps out in this game, unlike in part 1. The glitch I kept running into was him popping up before Gretel and him reunited, completely breaking the fairy section and preventing me from getting the mirror. Or just trapping me on this island, because even though he's here, I can't hop on his back. Because of this misfortune, I was unable to get all of the death scenes and unlock the Easter egg for myself. So the gameplay footage you see on screen right now belongs to a walkthrough life, who luckily was able to get this Easter egg and shared it online. I believe there are 13 deaths total you need for this Easter egg, and once collected, you need to go to the top right of the map. When you get there, you should see a tree trunk with 2 familiar looking robots. When the Gretel robot enters the submarine thing, she sees 2 robot versions of who I assume are Mako Pudding and maybe Nathan Radcliffe. They apologize for part 2 taking so long to release and say that part 3 will release soon. Psych. Now, this is quite possibly my favorite Easter egg ever because it is 2025 and part 3 has yet to be released. Which brings me to why I actually wanted to make this video in the first place. On March 12th of this year, the Gretel and Hansel Facebook page updated its icon and header images. And that's when I decided to make this video. Before this, the last update hadn't been since 2013. There was a more recent update on Mako Pudding's Newground page, where back in 2018, he said he would be posting a big announcement soon. And before that, on Twitter in 2013, there was also a post that said there'd be a major update soon. And then silence. To be honest, I didn't have much hope that this actually meant something. I mean, it was just a new icon and header image. But while working on this video, I clicked on the Gretel and Hansel official website link from the Facebook page, and it actually led somewhere. The link had previously been broken, but the site is up and running again. And on that beautiful site is a timer, counting down. And another update that literally just happened 19 minutes ago as of recording, Mako Pudding posted on his Newground page saying the website is up and running and that announcement will be coming this Friday on March 21st at 12 p.m. CST. Fingers crossed that this will actually be something and won't just lead to another long bout of silence. I just really want to see a part 3 after so long. And that's all I have to say about Gretel and Hansel. The timing of this was so weird. I was working on another video when Gretel and Hansel just popped in my mind randomly, and when I saw that they had changed their Facebook and icon header, I dropped everything to start on this video. And as I was working on this, there were so many updates. So sorry if this seems rushed, I really wanted to get this out before Friday, before the new update. Also, this is technically my first video. That wasn't the plan. Like I said earlier, I was working on another one before this, but it didn't really work out that way. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I don't know how to end this. Bye.